If you identify as a book lover and would honestly just curl up with a good book rather than leaving the house at the moment, then I hope you'll stick around for this video because I am going over my August library haul. I absolutely love book haul type of videos, but I don't always love that it usually includes like how to, like, people need to buy the books. I don't think that's true. Almost everyone, at least in the United States, it may be a little bit different depending on where you live, but most people have access to a library. And when you have access to a library, you also have access to other libraries in addition to that as well. And it's honestly so easy to get books nowadays that if you don't want to buy a book, even if you don't plan on keeping it, then you don't need to buy it. And we should all be using our libraries more often and more thoroughly. Before diving into this pile, I would like to talk about the book app that I use to track what I've read and how to keep track of books that I would like to read, so the TBR. And the app that I use is called TBR, and I just absolutely love it. If you are looking for an alternative to the big corporation-owned book tracking apps, I highly recommend going to TBR. It gives you access to all books pretty much that are published currently. I have yet to not be able to find a book, and I'm pretty sure it even has an option that if they don't have that in their database, you can basically create it yourself. And I just absolutely love the way that it gives you like a little bookshelf for your books that you have read for the year. It's just so stinking cute. I love it so much. And to be able to go in and mark a book as read, and then to go over and look at your little bookshelf grow, it just fills my little book loving heart so much. Anyway, let's get to this list. Now it is currently July, and I didn't do a library haul for July. Full disclosure, while we were on a little weekend getaway, I fell down the stairs at our Airbnb, and that just really took the wind out of me. And nothing was injured, nothing serious, but just, just generally did not feel like doing much of anything. So I took a break. But for July, I really have been enjoying the Dark Shores series by Danielle L. Jensen. I had previously read the first book of the series, which I think is the first book. I feel like the first two books could really be read either one, first or second. But I read the first book, Dark Shores, last summer and loved it. And I was going to continue on in the series, but it had such a summery feel to it that we were going into fall at the time, and I kind of was toying with the idea of reading more seasonally, so I did not read the second one. But this year I decided that during the month of July I would read the series, or at least all the books that are out. There is another book in the series going to be released at a later time this year, and I am currently on book number 3 in the series, Gilded Serpent. And after this, I will read. It's kind of like a little side story, and I love whenever authors add in like extra stories that you can read about the worlds. So after this one, I will be reading Tarnished Empire while waiting for the fourth book of the series to come out. So that's pretty much been my July. I don't think I'm going to get to any of the books that I have planned for August before July finishes. I just haven't had a lot of reading time happening. So anyway, books for August. First on, I'd also like to say that this list includes books that I have gotten through physical books from our library. I have also gotten digital through the Libby app through our library. And then new for this month, I actually just signed up for a free trial of Kindle Unlimited, so quite a few of them have been able to get on digital. And I really do enjoy reading on Kindle. I used to be one of those people who, like, no, I need to have a physical copy in my hand. That's the only way I can read. And I think the transition was hard. But now that I've been using a Kindle consistently for about a year or so, like, I actually really like having Kindle versions of the books. They're just so much easier to travel with, to always have on you, and also like just reading. Like, I'm a big like read in bed person before I go to bed, and often like I'll be on my side or I'm just like straight up laying down, and it's a lot easier on your hands and your wrists and everything to hold a Kindle than it is to hold like a big book. And a lot of books I read are big books. So I'm a Kindle person, but I also love physical books as well. So there's no judgment here whether or not you love physical or you love digital books. Everybody is welcome here. And all of those can be found without having to buy them. So without further ado, here is my library and Kindle Unlimited haul for August. The first book, which was a recommendation, a summer recommendation, I think Darling Desi had it on her list, is What the River Knows by Isabel Ibanez. Ibanez? Sorry if I mispronounced that. But it takes place, I believe, in Egypt and along the River Nile, and it just sounds like a really delightful story to sort of end summer and wrap it all up in those summery feelings. Book number 2, which I am actually very excited about, and while I'm not reading any of these books in this specific order, I do like to sort of space out the types of books that I read. So, like having a fantasy book, I do like to pepper in like more classic books along the way. And the second book is one that I've never read, and that really surprises me, is My Family and Other Animals by Gerald Durrell. I absolutely love the Durrells of Corfu, I think is the title. It's either the Durrells of Corfu or in Corfu. Anyway, from PBS Masterpiece. It's a British show. If you haven't watched it, oh my gosh, you need to do that. Like, I'm usually not a big person to push like TV shows or movies on people to watch, but that is just one that I would always recommend. Now, it is not necessarily recommended for kids, so actually, I would not recommend it for kids at all. I would say a mid-teenager, maybe even later teenager would be good for and up, but it is so, so good. I mean, it's PBS Masterpiece show. Like, they just know how to pick shows that are good, and it's British. So, I mean, right there, 2 things it's got going for it. I do know a little bit about it since I have watched the Durrells TV show. And it follows a family, the Durrells, who move from England to an island in Greece called Corfu to sort of restart their life in the 1930s. And it just follows like their hardships and like the hilarious things that happen to them, while also following Gerald, who, like, this is his family's story that he's telling. It follows him and his love for animals and basically like all living things. Like, he starts a zoo on his own, like, and he's just like a kid when he does this. He's just like bringing home pelicans and fish and turtles and I don't know, hawks. It's crazy. Snakes. He's like bringing home like snakes and reptiles and like sets up like cages for them and like studies them and learns about them. And it's just a really beautiful story of one family's resiliency and, being brave enough to change your life, take the steps needed. Now, obviously, they don't end up staying in Greece. I do believe they move back to England with the start of World War II. But I mean, it's just one place. It's like it's added Corfu onto my bucket list, like forever and always. Like, I want to stay and see Corfu and all the beautiful Greek culture, and yeah, it's just put it on your TBR. I'm sure, I'm positive now already that's going to be a great book. The next book is Under a Dancing Star. Claire, there we go. Under a Dancing Star by Laura Wood. This was another recommendation I saw on YouTube, and I love that it's a retelling of a Shakespeare story, Much Ado About Nothing. Shakespeare has such wonderful stories that can be translated into so many different ways and into such beautiful retellings that I am very excited to add this one. And I'm pretty sure it's a fairly summery book. I'm sure it's going to be a great book to just help wrap up the summer. And it's raining. Oh, okay. So if you hear something, that is rain. Hopefully it doesn't get much louder than that. It was unexpected. The next book on my list for August is A Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle L. Jensen. So yes, I am reading her other series, Dark Shores, in July, and I just saw this at the library, and it was on like sort of their feature shelf, and I was like, yeah, thank you. I'll often do that, I start reading a book or a series by an author, and then I'll just sort of deep dive into their other work. So excited to get that one started during August. All right, this is a book that I actually have, and I've had it for a while, and it's one that I do really like, and I would even say that I love it. It is Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen, and you can see that this is just like a Signet classic. It's like nothing special sort of book. It was probably super cheap. I'm in the process of still paring down my books that I do want to keep, and especially with the Jane Austen books, like there's so many beautiful covers available that I kind of feel like now, like if I read it and it just really speaks to me and I want to keep it, then I would like to get a beautiful cover version of it. So this one has actually been on my TBR for like a couple months now, and like something that I'm like, okay, I'm gonna read it this month, and then I just keep finding other books. And I think the problem with having books while also getting books from the library or like a Kindle Unlimited sort of thing, I don't think it with Kindle Unlimited would be such a difference, but when sort of balancing that with books from the library is that your library books take precedence. You know, you get them and you only have a certain amount of time to read them. So if you get a whole bunch of books at one time, which I'm totally guilty of, then those books come first. So the books that you do own and want to read or reread gets pushed back farther and farther into the queue. But August, planning on reading Northanger Abbey to determine if I will be keeping that and replacing it with a beautiful cover copy. The last book that I have for my August library haul is The High Mountain Court by A.K. Mulford. This was actually the first book I added to my list, my Kindle Unlimited library, I guess you call it, after activating our free trial. And I knew that the name sounded familiar, and I was pretty sure that it was a book that I had on my TBR. I didn't actually check it, but I should have. But I think I've actually already read this book. I just can't remember, and I can't find it in my TBR read. I didn't look too carefully, so maybe it is there. But I'm pretty darn sure that I have not read the entire series. So I am adding that series to my list, and that may actually get pushed to September, but that's okay. I'm not on any time crunch to read it with Kindle Unlimited, so looking forward to having that one maybe back in my life or maybe new to my life. We'll find out. That is it for my August library haul. Hey, leave me a comment down below and let me know what's on your August TBR. Are you a seasonal reader, or do you just read whatever you find that looks good? I would love to chat more about that in the comments. So I will see you all next week.